My, I do have a sense of deja vu. I remember early in the 80s, when we first started out, at demonstrations and rallies much smaller than this. And I also remember the warmth and enthusiasm of the men and women in blue. Such was their warmth that has left me with any number of indelible memories. My only hope tonight is that they are not so enthusiastic in their affections. A simple handshake would do. Where do I stand on the fundamental question of whether or not the state of Israel has indeed a right to exist at all? Well, simply put, this is my position. As I was then, I am now an implacable, unapologetic anti-racist. As I was opposed to racist oppression by a white minority regime in South Africa, so too am I opposed to a racist Zionist regime in occupied Palestine. We've been fortunate this week, very fortunate indeed, to have in our presence and on our airways a man of considerable inspiration and one that I draw significant encouragement from. An Israeli, an academic, and he was quite unequivocal. The notion that Israel is some sort of democracy is a myth. It is simply a myth, because ever since it emerged in occupied Palestine, there has been a consistent policy of depopulation, dehumanization, and ethnic cleansing as we have come to know it. And that policy continues today with the blessings of the Gillard government. Quite often I am asked by international friends of mine, what is Australia's position on occupied Palestine? You see, they too do not accept the legitimacy of the State of Israel. And I simply say to them, why don't you phone the United States State Department to tell us what our position is on occupied Palestine? Because in 3 words, the Australian government's position on occupied Palestine is simply this: it is servile, it is subservient, and it is spineless.
Shame!
It is to us that the challenge is thrown. It is to us that the narrative will be changed.
Yep.
It is to us that will force a change in Australian foreign policy towards occupied Palestine. We refuse to outsource foreign policy to the Lowy Institute, that august member of this wonderful multicultural society, who no doubt endured significant horrors and hardships following the Holocaust, following the diaspora out of Europe. But to Mr. Lowy, it was not the Palestinians who caused it. And that he had mentioned a stint in the Israeli military was quite interesting. What he forgot to mention was that he was part and parcel of an Australian military unit that was itself responsible for depopulating most of the villages in Israel. and causing the exodus of 750,000 Palestinians. 750,000 Palestinians who today would be part of a majority people in occupied Palestine. And it's only through their depopulation militarily that Israel can call itself a majority Jewish democracy. I suppose in Nazi Germany, they too could call themselves a German majority democracy after the wholesale slaughter of 6 million Jews. And it begs the question, how on earth can the children of the Holocaust visit upon another people the same depravities that you and I have come to deplore?
Shame.
Ilan Pape was quite right. Israel is not a democracy as you and I know it. Not when you effectively disenfranchise almost 20% of the population by denying them the usual civil rights and human rights and the rights to citizenship. Ilan Pape is right. We in Australia bear a particular responsibility towards the Palestinians. A revered Australian from history, one Dr. Everett, a man who, by any imagination, was quite a progressive individual, but was duped by the Western Allies into selling out the rights of the Palestinian people and effectively handing to the Zionist state the lands that have been forevermore Palestinian. We must right that historical wrong, and we are going to do it starting right now. Thank you.